Hi guys, welcome to the second part of To the Rescue. What has happened so far? One day, when Johnny and his friends returned home to their settlement, all the Minutemen were gone, captured by the Institute. Following the tracks of the Institute, they had to battle some bloodworms on the way, before they now reach this old ghoul-infested factory site, which they have to cross. So we have these 5 survivors now. Johnny, the sole survivor day 1 in the middle with a laser rifle. Here is Cotsworth, a normal settler. And over here we have Hancock with a laser musket and a settler who now was able to become ghoulish. They have to cross this 24 by 24 inch board up to the other side, leave there and go to the third scenario. Here we have 4 points where enemies begin. We don't know yet which one. And the whole board has these wire fences around, so you can see where the 24 by 24 inches are ending. As in the last episode, we now place the searchable markers. We have now a gaming size of 4, so we take 8, twice the 4 of the normal counters and 4 of the blank counters and mix them up randomly. Here they are. And now at every of these enemy points, 1 searchable marker will be scattered yellow and 1 searchable marker will be scattered red in a random direction. They end up like this. 2 searchable markers pretty near to our survivors, 2 here in the middle, 1 over there, 2 near the entrance, and another one here behind this building. It's an old ghoul-infested place, long forgotten from before the war, where some ghouls now took over. So, as wildlife, we have some red roaches and normal ghouls, and also a bloated glowing one. I know, normally there shouldn't be a bloated glowing one, but I learned from the first scenario where there were too many weak enemies, so I hope to see some more action adding this one here. As we're playing Into the Wasteland, the 2 nearest enemy counters to our survivors will now be revealed. The first token here got replaced by 2 swarms of red roaches which tried to protect their home. The second marker is replaced by these 2 feral ghouls. The campaign states that each character that was part of the first scenario gains 1 armor boost token, and I guess as their survivors, they just replenish their used armor tokens, not gaining additional ones. So each main character has 2 and the settlers have 1 each. So now it's time for the first turn. As the enemies are less model, the AI starts. And we have some bad weather, so all range attacks on long range are -2. The AI has less models on the field, so goes first, and randomly this swarm was chosen. This swarm is protecting its home, so as usual for AI we roll a blue die and see 1 bottle that he is defending. This means the swarm takes the nearest marker, that's this one, and tries to protect it, because this is his hole, he lives there, and moves now over twice, placing himself between the marker and the intruders. The survivors begin with Johnny firing his newly acquired laser rifle into this school. First shot. It's a miss, and second shot. Total miss. The AI now activates this ghoul who is roaming around. As Johnny shot on him, hostility, he was roaming, so now he uses, with these changes, his own AI card. So he now moves aggressively once. As he is AI controlled, has to check agility if he may charge. No, so he's only allowed to make a normal move and ends up right here. Time for the first settler to shoot for his life. First shot with this assault rifle, it's a hit, 1 extra damage, so the ghoul rolls for armor, blocks none, gets 3 damage. Second shot. Another hit for 1 armor break, 3 damage, so the ghoul is dead. And with the generated quick action, he chooses to prepare. Now it's time for the second ghoul, who's roaming around. And he will strike. So he moves up the board once. With the second action, he has to roll for agility and tries to charge the settler. It's a fail. So just a normal moves, but makes it into close combat without gaining an additional die. The settler now uses his ready marker to try and shoot at the ghoul. Perfect hit, 2 damage. The ghoul blocks 9, gets 2 damage. As the roaming ghoul has had some hostility, he now was roaming. The settlers activate Mr. Codsworth, who will now charge the ghoul and uses Buzzsaw. The Mr. Handy Buzzsaw has a yellow die, a green for being more than the enemy, and chooses a black for charging. He's hitting on a 6 and completely miss. Time for the second red roach swarm. He will also try to defend. He chooses the next loot marker, that's this one. He moves over, places himself in front here, tries to defend his little home, and makes ready. That's the last AI creature done. Time for Hancock, to be honest, who will now also charge into the ghoul and use his newly acquired laser musket in close combat. Laser musket has green and yellow, a black for charging, a green for being more than the enemy. And he's hitting, good hit, 2 extra damage, 4 armor break. So that's another dead ghoul. The last settler, Pete, moves to this loot marker over here, draws a danger card and finds an item. It's a rigged shotgun, so he may now test agility. Does not, so he gets 1 damage, makes his armor roll, but yeah, blocks it, but his armor boost token has gone. And now he gets an item. He finds some aligned sights that always come in handy, and he will put them on after this fight to his gun. Nearly the end of the first turn, looking pretty good for my survivors. So the 2 markers which represent enemies now each scatter yellow. The marker over here has now sight to my settler, so gets revealed. It's the bloated glowing one starting at the benches. He is hunting, so tries to engage in close combat. Moves once and twice. Ends here. Now that the first turn is ending, the enemy marker over here will scatter yellow, which takes him right here in the open, so also gets revealed now. Second wave of ghouls coming in, and maximum of 3, holy cow. And they will scatter, each will scatter green. So 1 ghoul is placed here, the next one behind here, and the third at the edge. We hear some Diamond News radio playing, while our survivors have the first turn. The settler here will shoot his assault rifle at the approaching ghoul. First shot, it's an X, total miss. Second shot, it's a hit, 2 damage, not too much. Armor blocks none, ghoul gets 2 damage. Now it's time for the damn ghoul to charge poor Mr. Codsworth. He rolls for agility, passes, chooses a black die for charging, hitting on a 6. And it's a miss. The survivors activate Pete so he can shoot before he gets into close combat. First shot. Oh, beautiful hit, 2 damage. Yeah, not too much. Okay, blocks 2 because of his strong armor. Second shot, it's an X. Uh-oh, poor Pete. Bad news for Pete. The bloated glowing one is charging. Bloated glowing one hits on a 7, has yellow and green die, and chooses a black for charging. And he misses. Nice one. End of activation. No shockwave this turn. Now Codsworth's turn. First attack. Hit for 1 armor break. So Ghoul gets 2 damage and is dead. Now he charges the bloated glowing one, going for a black die. The AI activates this Ghoul, who who sprints twice in this direction. Hancock only makes ready. Activates this Ghoul, who now sprints forward. First move right here, and now tries to charge Codsworth. Agility check, passed, and goes for a black charging die. Settlers ready Johnny, but first activates Hancock. He moves once and then fires his laser musket into the Ghoul over here, who's not into close combat now. Laser musket shot. Hit, 1 armor break, so Ghoul has only 1 armor left. Blocks none, gets 2 damage. Now Johnny does the same, moves over and fires his laser rifle at the Ghoul. Even the +2 from Hancock doesn't give him a hit. Both swarms just protect their home, make ready if they should be charged, and so the second round ends. The third round starts. We have a passing swarm, so maximum movement now will be yellow. First turn is for the AI, and they activate this Ghoul first to charge in before he can get shot. Agility check for charging Codsworth, it's a miss, so he moves in normal. Feral Ghoul swipe, extra green for being more, black for charging, so rolls to hit. On a 6, and with a -1, it's 3 damage, 1 armor break for Mr. Codsworth. So that leaves him with 2 armor, blocking none, using 1 of his strong armor tokens to get only 2 damage. Best chance for the survivors to kill this Ghoul before he can strike with his charge bonus is to now activate Codsworth, striking twice at him. First attack hitting on a 6, 1 armor break, so that's 2 damage for the Ghoul. Second attack, it's a miss. It's time for the charging injured Ghoul to strike at Mr. Codsworth. First attack, ooh, hit 4 damage, 1 armor break, so Codsworth blocks none because of the armor break. Gets 4 damage, has 1 strong armor token, so 3 damage for him. He's up to 5 damage now. Codsworth has no strong armor left, only 1 health remaining. And second attack of the Ghoul. Hit. He blocks 1, so Codsworth is down. Bad news for this Mr. Handy robot. Hancock readies himself. How the bloated glowing one strikes at Pete the Ghoul. Hitting on a 7. A hit to damage. Pete blocks none, gets 2 damage. Then he does 2 radiation damage, which heal our Ghoul Pete. So he decides to go and leave close combat with Pete to charge one of the squishy humans next turn. Free attack from Pete. It's a hit to armor break. Bloated glowing one gets 1 damage because of a strong armor. End of the turn, no shockwave. Survivors ready Pete. First action, Hancock. He shoots at the first Ghoul with his laser musket. Ballistic 5. Hit. Ghoul blocks none, is dead. Second shot goes to the second Ghoul. It's a miss. And with his generated quick action, he readies himself. Now it's up to Pete, who fires his first shot into the surviving Ghoul. First shot. Second shot. It's also a miss. And with his generated quick action, he readies himself. Now this small swarm over here decides not to defend his home any longer and instead strike at the nearest enemy. So charges my sole survivor, Johnny. Goes for a green die for charging and hits. 2 nuclear damage. He has an armor of 1, blocks none, so uses 1 of his strong armor tokens to only get 1 radiation damage. Ouch. Second attack, because of its life, it's a miss. Now the settler George tries to gun down the last remaining Ghoul. First shot is a miss. Second shot is a miss. Last miniature to activate this turn is Soul Survivor Johnny, and he tries to leave close combat with a small red swarm here. Re-attack from the swarm. It's a hit, 1 damage. Has an armor value of 1. Blocks none, so his second strong armor token goes away. No damage for Johnny. Nochmal. Second attack is a miss. Goes to the loot marker and finds a search check, which he will do now. And passes. Finding just some sugar bombs. Beginning of the third round, everyone is still near the entrance point. Some ghouls have died. Mr. Codsworth, I hope we can repair him. And as the AI has less miniatures now, they go first. They choose to activate this ghoul before he can be shot down. And he tries to charge Pete. Agility check, not passed. Reaction shot from Pete. Oh. The ghoul attacks Pete. Oh, 2 extra damage. That's 4 damage. That might kill Pete. And Pete blocks 1, has 1 life remaining. Then he gets 1 radiation damage, which gives him back 1 life. The survivors ready Hancock. Now it's time for the bloated glowing one, who charges the settler over here. Hitting on a 7, black die for charging. And it's a hit. 1 extra damage. That's 3 damage, 1 armor break. So he has 1 strong armor token. That's 2 damage for him. And then these 2 damage get converted to nuclear damage. At the end of his turn, no shockwave. The survivors now ready. Johnny first. Hancock will activate charging the ghoul over here. Laser musket misses by 1 point. Then Johnny charges in, chooses a green for charging, and hits. 1 damage ignores armor, and the other damage gets blocked. This red roach swarm charges again Johnny, chooses a black die, and hits 2 extra damage, 1 armor break. So that's 3 nuclear damage for poor Johnny. Second attack, it's a miss. That beast brings him up to 4 nuclear damage. He's got only 2 life remaining. Pete attacks the ghoul that has 1 life remaining. First shot, that's a miss. Second shot, come on man. That's a hit, 2 damage, because he's using a rifle in close combat. Ghoul has 2 armor. Blocks both. Now our settler over here shoots at the bloated glowing one. First shot. Hit. Bloated glowing one. Blocks both. I mean blocks 1 because of the armor break and his strong armor. Second shot. It's a miss. Round 5 is about to start and it's not looking very good for our survivors. We have equal numbers with the AI, so the survivors have the first turn. Pete tries to save his skin and attacks the ghoul in close combat. First shot, an X, Second shot, it's a hit, 3 damage. Okay, that should be enough, yeah. Blocks 1, ghoul is dead. Now it's time for the bloated glowing one. First attack, hitting on 7s. That's a hit, 1 armor break, 1 extra damage. Okay. The settler is also dead. Then he charges Hancock. End of his turn, no aura ability. It's up to Johnny, who tries to get away from the swarm and run for the exit. Free attack from the swarm. It's a miss. Second attack because it may attack more than once. It's a hit. Armor blocks 1. First move. And shares his sugar bombs with Pete, who goes up to full health. And a glorious second move, trying to get some more loot. Finding an item. A blood pack. Now this AI swarm decides not to defend his home anymore, but go and charge poor old Johnny. Green die for charging. It's a miss. Hancock decides to leave close combat, because I guess he can't win here. Free attack. It's a miss, God bless. His first move and his second move charging the swarm. Swarm over here. Normally he would attack the nearest settler, but as he's a ghoul, And I won't make it so easy for me. He charges after the only one he can damage, so goes for Johnny. Charging the man who destroyed his home. AI goes first and decides to go with this red roach swarm and attack Johnny. Maybe he can kill him. First attack, going for a black die for charging. It's a miss. Second attack, still charging. These are 2 damage. He has 1 armor. Blocks 1, gets a 5th nuclear damage. Second attack action. First attack, it's a hit, 1 damage. Here, he has 1 armor. Blocks it. Ooh. And second attack of the second attack action, it's a miss. He has only 1 life remaining, so tries to leave close combat. The first swarm can't make any free attacks because he's bound in close combat, but the second swarm can. So I decide to make 1 attack first, maybe do enough damage that the swarm only has 1 reaction attack. Shooting in close combat, that's a hit, 1 extra damage, so that's 3 damage for the swarm. Swarm has 1 armor, blocks none, has 1 life remaining. So now Johnny leaves close combat, giving his blood pack to Hancock. He may need it more. Free attack from the red roach swarm, only 1 attack, and it's a miss. So Johnny ends up here not reaching the next loop marker. Bloated glowing one decides to charge Pete for black charge die. That's a hit to extra damage, 1 armor break. So these are 4 damage, no armor for Pete, instant death. Hancock leaves close combat now, this first action, as he's a ghoul and immune to nuclear damage. The red roach swarm doesn't need to roll his attack. Ending up out of line of sight of the first swarm and shooting at the second. Shooting, hitting, and killing the swarm. So now it's on to this swarm. I decide to be mean here. Normally he would charge Hancock, but I don't want to make life easier than it should be for my guys. So he goes 1 times back here till he has line of sight and then charges. There are only 2 survivors left and 2 AI creatures, one of them being the big bloated glowing one. As the AI had the first turn last round, the survivors have the first turn this round. So Johnny activates first, leaving close combat. Don't get any free attacks because Hancock is in there and runs for his life. First move, finding just a black counter, and second move, off to the next scenario. It's round 7 and the first survivor made it off the table. Woohoo! Now the AI activates their bloated glowing one over here, then charging Hancock. Hancock isn't as suicidal as you would think because he is a smart Mentats-taking ghoul. He tries to leave close combat and run for his life. The bloated glowing one. Normal strike. They are more than the enemy. He is strength 7 as I just realized, so he would have rolled in black always. I'm sorry for this. And a black for charging. So let's see what he makes out of poor Hancock. That is a hit, 2 armor break, 2 damage. So Hancock uses 1 strong armor token and gains 1 normal damage. Then he just moves once and twice. So it's round number 7. 2 of my survivors have made it off the board. They survived this scenario and we kind of won. This second scenario had so much more action than the first one, and everything because of this bloated glowing one. He was a blast. I'm glad I added him to the scenario. Normally he wouldn't have been, but it was fun seeing him in action as he ripped many of my survivors apart and the rest fleeing before he can get them. These are my 2 surviving characters. They only found a blood pack. These 3 have fallen. We will remember you guys. Maybe one day we'll send out some Minutemen to rescue the remains of Codsworth and repairing him. Now onto the campaign, what happens next. There were 12 event cards, 7 were drawn, so 5 left, but Johnny is nearly dead, so I spend 2 of them, making a longer pause and regenerating him to full strength, so they can both start next scenario with full life. We had 6 cards from the first scenario, and now that I spent 2 for regeneration, 3 from the second, so 9 cards. Our 2 heroes now leave this place and follow the road to a Brahmin ranch that knows my settlement. So I may add, before the next scenario starts, 2 non-unique models and up to 3 unique models to my force. And I may draw and resolve 1 explore card. I found some trappers that would do a helpful distraction if I pay them 25. And luckily, because of the explore card after the first scenario, I have some caps to spend, give them 25 and add this card. Thank you all very much for watching my video and see you on the next part.